Hey, how are you doing? Pastor Roy here, and this is a weekly show that we produce just to encourage you and really to inform you, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun as well. I've got three very, very special guests this week, and they are three doctors who are part of our church community. We've got lots of medical professionals in our church, and we are grateful to God for every single one of them. Of course, lots of medical students as well. But we've got three amazing doctors with us today. We have the amazing Dr. Christiana Belshaw, who's a consultant based in Leicester. We've also got Dr. Tamron Huckle, and he's also a frontline doctor based in Leicester. And then we've got Dr. Becca Dykes. She's also based in Leicester as well. And it's just great that these guys have joined us today. Thank you so much, every one of you, for just taking a bit of time out and joining me today. How are you all doing?
Great.
Good. It's so good to have you with us. Now, listen, we're gonna get on to some more serious stuff in a moment. Okay, so we're gonna talk about current challenges and how to deal with it and all that sort of stuff. But I just want to begin. You people, you lecture us all the time, right, about having this fit and healthy lifestyle and so on. But I want to know if you're practicing what you preach. So I'm going to present you with the now familiar scenario, which I pretty much present everybody I talk to, which is you are in proverbial isolation, okay? And I am going to give you a choice of two foods of which you are allowed to choose one. And then I want you to tell me which you're going to choose, and I want you to expound the health benefits of these foods. So let's go to Christiana first. First of all, in this proverbial isolation, you have a choice between kale or lettuce.
Definitely lettuce.
Expand the health benefits, but sure, kale's a superfood.
Well, yes, it's important to eat your greens and all the vegetables, 5 a day. 5 a day. Make sure you do it.
These doctors are just starting already. It's unbelievable, Okay, Tamron, over to you. What about you? Okay, I'm going to give you a choice between fish or steak.
Ooh, steak. Actually, hands down steak. There's no debate.
Yeah.
The thing of it is, it's got lots of protein, vitamin B12, steak all the way. But like medium rare.
Surely fish is healthier than steak, though, right?
They say fish is a brain feed, don't they? Yeah. But steak, I don't think you could go wrong with like medium rare steak, a bit of peppercorn sauce.
I like you. I would want you as my GP. Absolutely. Okay, Becca, this is a bit more of a challenging one. Your choice is a Big Mac or a Burger King.
Two of the pillars of a healthy diet. It's kind of embarrassing. I've never had a Big Mac, so I think I'd have to choose Burger King. I know.
Hang on. Let's just stop right there. You have never had a Big Mac. What? Why?
Well, my dad was a doctor, wasn't he? So my childhood was not one of takeaways. We didn't do that. They didn't do that.
So you've never
had a deprived childhood. That's what we're saying.
Have you had a Burger King?
I think like once.
I think once. Do you know, I'm going to pray that God gives you a life. I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. Okay, what about a KFC? You ever had a KFC?
I think I shared one with someone once.
I'm moving on to the next question right away. Okay, Christiana, let's go on to more sensible foods. Sweet potato or normal potato? Which of those would you take?
Sweet potato, absolutely.
Is that because it's healthier or because it tastes better?
Tastes better.
Okay, Tamara, what about you? Okay, I'm going to give you a choice: peas or carrots. Now we're getting on to our veg. What would you take?
There's not much between them. I'd get peas. I don't know why.
Okay, your greens. You've taken your greens. Becca, bread or rice?
Definitely bread. Easy bread. Yeah.
Because okay, let's go into takeaways. Christiana, Indian takeaway or Chinese takeaway? Which is your go-to?
Indian.
Is that because of health benefits?
growing up near Bradford and now in Leicester. Great Indian food.
It's the food to go to, isn't it? Yeah. Tamron, I'm nearly done with these questions. Okay, so Tamron, Pizza Hut or Nando's?
Nando's, hands down, Nando's. Although if it was Nando's or Domino's, then there might be a bit of a contest. But,
are you suggesting that Domino's is a better pizza than Pizza Hut?
Is that what you're suggesting? I think so. Yeah, I think the prices reflect that. Yeah, but.
And then Becca, I had to put this one in because it's you, and I'm pleased I did, especially in light of the previous, one of the previous questions where poor Becca's never had a Big Mac. You see, when this thing's over, Becca, I'm taking you for a Big Mac and fries. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm going to arrange it, right? But Becca, this is so apt for you. Not necessarily food. It's a drink. Wine or champagne? Which would you take?
I feel like I'm going to disappoint people if I don't say champagne in answer to this.
You can't be a people pleaser, Becca. You got to go with what you want. You can have red or white wine if you want.
Well, that's it. Wine's got a lot of variety to it. I mean, champagne is sort of narrowing the bar, whereas wine is broad.
Oh, this is silly banter. Listen, guys, this is a massive, massive season, and I mean, I've run out of words to describe what we're going through at the moment. This is just unprecedented, and it's got weirdness and strangeness, and it's the sense of uncertainty, I guess, of it all as well. I want to talk to Christiana first, and just on a purely personal level, you became a mom, 3 months ago, am I right?
Yeah, nearly 3 months ago, Alexander.
So, and I'm guessing that you've got a whole mix of emotions going on. You've got the delight at this beautiful boy, and he is a beautiful boy. But then you've also obviously got, I guess, natural apprehensions about this season as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, maternity leave is obviously different than what I expected it to be. But I'm loving it. Alexander's such good company. And well, ironically, I'm actually feeling a bit less isolated than I did before. But he's working from home, so it's brilliant having him here. And it's like everyone's on maternity leave. Everyone else is at home, and
everybody's just joined you on maternity leave.
Yeah, and church. I've been loving church, being able to watch the services and join life group from the comfort of my own home. It's just so easy and accessible. When
great.
Sometimes it's a bit tricky to get a baby out the door. So. It's
brilliant.
Yeah.
And in terms of being a mom, then and obviously then with your professional background as well, I mean, do you feel nervous? Does that make you nervous? Do you worry? What's the deal with all that?
Well, it does feel strange me not being at work at the moment because it's I've worked my whole life, and now that I'm not at work, it's just a strange time not to be there with my colleagues. One of the saving graces about this virus is that children are mildly affected. So Alexander's not, I know, obviously I'm protecting him and we're just in our house being protected, but I have other concerns as well, rather than particularly Alexander.
Yes.
So, that is just a lovely thing to know that children are far less affected.
Yes, that's a great relief, isn't it? I mean, we have a little coming up to 2-year-old, and that was a big concern when all this began. Will this affect children? So that is a relief that they seem to only get minor symptoms of this. Let's have a chat with Tamron then. Tamron, you are very much on the front line at the moment. You actually, I understand that you have been serving on one of the COVID-19 wards recently. Tell us what that has been like.
Yeah, it's been interesting in the sense of, I think probably it's new to a lot of people. We've not been here before, and I think with that comes a lot of challenges. For example, whereas we used to be able to have conversations with family and you do that face to face, you're now having to ring them up because obviously family can't come in. Wow. And so actually it's having to adapt to these new challenges. But do you know what? I'd be really surprised because I think overall, it's been a really I've come away feeling really positive. Yeah. Because people, what I've realized is people are going the extra mile. People are, we're preparing. Actually, I think it made me realize how much of how dedicated people are and how like how much expertise there is. So like despite kind of these challenges, people are really adapting to it. I think it was quite a relief to actually get on the ward and see actually how much people have prepared, because I think probably in the media there's a lot of like we've not prepared, we're not ready for this, and I get that to a certain extent, and there are challenges, like no doubt, but I think certainly my experience is actually even now the hospital is still preparing, clearing up wards, getting things ready, ordering in kind of more equipment. So I think I've come away feeling quite positive about it. Not in the situation is good, but in the actually people are really going the extra mile. Like a lot of my colleagues have moved out away from their family because obviously they don't want to kind of give it to their family. So you've got people that won't see their children for a long time because they're here. So like the dedication of, and it's not just amazing. Doctors, this is across the board.
Yes, amazing dedication. I think Becca, if this crisis has done anything, I guess that it has made us appreciate the NHS and the amazing workers, the amazing medical professionals who serve us in this nation, right? So, I mean, we appreciate the NHS more than ever, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think the NHS has always been amazing in what it's providing for people in terms of free healthcare, and it is one of the best healthcare systems in the world. But I think to see how both individuals and corporately the NHS has responded to this, it is on the whole actually very impressive. It's really difficult to try and prepare for something that you don't know very much about. And so actually I think to see people almost step up to that and say, we're going to try and keep not only our patients safe, but our staff safe, and we're going to try and keep the public safe and people who are sick safe, that their number one priority has always been to keep people safe. And that has been rolled out so quickly. I mean, it's so quick, all of the changes that have happened in the last couple of weeks. My experience, obviously, the hospitals in Leicester, they look completely different to how they looked a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And that all of that is geared towards keeping people safe. It's so impressive. It's so
amazing. Amazing. Truly, truly amazing. And at 8 o'clock on Thursday night, I'm definitely going to be one of those guys standing out, clapping my hands, thanking the NHS staff for the Herculean work that they've been doing. It is truly amazing. Christiana, here we are in this thing called lockdown. And I mean, even to use the word lockdown in Britain is just a weird term to use. But we obviously get the reason why. It is for the protection of not only our own health, but of course of others as well. But even that in itself can be very, very challenging, I guess, for lots of people. And I think my question to you would be, how can we go about protecting and looking after both our physical health and also our mental health, even in this season of lockdown? Do you have any advice you could offer?
So from a physical point of view, obviously the things that you've heard so much about to reduce your risk of infection and infecting others, washing your hands, not touching your face, social isolation, but also just trying to optimize your baseline health as well. So trying to get good sleep, eating well, physical exercise. If you have any health conditions already, just trying to get them optimized. So if you've got asthma, you take your inhalers regularly, those sorts of things. And obviously if you get any symptoms, remember most of the people have very mild symptoms, but there's a 111 website you can check out. And then from the mental point of view, I mean, that's such a huge thing at the moment because there's so much stresses and anxiety about jobs and finances, health, family, etc. And the isolation just magnifies all of that. So what I would suggest from that point of view is trying to get some structure and routine in your day, especially since people are working from home and being at home a lot. So incorporating in that some physical well-being. So, if you're feeling physically better, it has such an impact on how you feel. Get up, get dressed, and try and incorporate some things that you enjoy doing, hobbies, something, just to keep you active and positive. Think about what you're thinking about. Try and reduce the amount of news that's going in, and read your Bible more.
Yes.
And then staying connected. That's so important for mental health, well-being.
Yes.
Phone people, text people. We're not alone, even though we might be a bit isolated at the moment.
Yes, that's a really good advice, Christiana. It does emphasize, doesn't it, the importance of community more than ever before. Let's just have a chat with Tamron then. Obviously, what brings us together as a church community is the fact that we all have a relationship with God. We all believe God. We trust God. We follow Jesus, as we would say it. But I'm curious to know, Tamron, how does that impact you professionally? Obviously, you can't go around the ward praying for people and stuff like that. That would be unprofessional. So obviously prayers are personal and so on, and I totally get that. But how do you pray, for example, before you go to work?
Yeah, I think probably what I think my faith, like how it impacts me, is actually a sense of peace. I think sometimes you can go into a day, and I guess it's like anything, you don't know what's going to unfold. Sometimes it's going to be busy, it's going to be stressful, sometimes it's going to be kind of challenging situations. And I think probably what my faith means to me and the ability to pray is just that, the idea of peace, like God providing peace in these kind of difficult situations, God also being, that God can protect us. That it doesn't matter where we go, that God will go with us, He'll go before us, He'll be there in that situation. And I think probably there's a lot of comfort for that. Or knowing that, but also I think probably there's an element of I believe that God is a God of healing as well, and actually going into a profession where a lot of it is trying to make people better. Yes. And it's kind of that prayer that we'll be able to make people better and go from there, really. Yeah.
Yes, and that is such a good point, because I guess the truth is with COVID-19 is that the medical profession, they still really are trying to get to grips with what it actually is. It's not a simple flu. There's more to it than that. It seems to have been transmitted from an animal to a human, which is a scary thought even in itself, I guess. So all of that can make us feel very worried and concerned. Again, I want to ask you, just Christiana, I'll come to you in a second, Becca, but Christiana, those worries, that sense of worry that people have, and even it's been manifested through things like panic buying and all that sort of stuff. I mean, can you say anything to sort of just alleviate some of those worries and all of this?
I would just encourage people to focus on controlling what they can control. Focus on the now rather than the future what ifs. Stick to the facts, use credible sources of information, the government or the NHS website rather than social media.
Yes.
And then also remember that there's facts and then there's God's truths as well. So, spending time reading your Bible and, building your faith up. And you're going to love this quote, turning those cares into prayers.
Oh, there's another one.
That's good.
So that's he turns your mess into a message. He turns your test into a testimony, and he turns your cares into prayers. You will hear me quote that regularly when I get back on that pulpit, Christiana, and I will attribute that not to you, but to Jesus, because he's the originator of that quote. But that's a good one, isn't it? I like that. Turn your cares into prayers. If it's big enough to bother you, it's big enough to bother God. So we ought to pray about it. And I really love that we have constant access to God and all of this. What a comforting thought. Becca, I guess it can be very easy though, and partly I'm kind of talking to myself here. Some mornings I wake up and I'm fine. Other mornings I wake up and because I am disorientated and I am out of sync and I've got to have my routine, and I obviously can't have that to the extent of what I had it before and so on. And I guess it can be very easy then, in light of that, to become quite pessimistic, quite downbeat, and to have a sort of a negative outlook on life, especially when the numbers of fatalities and so on seem to rising. And it's a horrible, horrible news, of course. It could almost sound like a crass question. I don't mean it to. I think I'm addressing it to our own hearts. Is it possible for us to stay somehow positive, with a positive outlook in the midst of all this? Any advice you'd care to offer?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. I think I completely agree with you. It's really important to acknowledge that there are bad things going on, that we're not trying to make light of a situation that's really serious and is causing a lot of hurt. I think it's really important to acknowledge that. I think it's not letting that be something that you dwell on or something that drags you down. And for me, I feel like there's two parts to it. There's kind of small scale and large scale, if that makes sense. So a part of it in the day to day, I find it's seeing the little things. It's the kind of little acts of kindness, or it's people sending encouraging messages, or it's hearing about what someone's done for someone else. And kindness is the word that comes into my head. I feel like we've seen a lot of the kindness of humanity in this situation. Those little stories and almost little, testimonies is probably the sort of faith word for it. I think I find very encouraging. And I think from a bigger perspective, it's remembering that actually there will be an end to this. For the time that we're in, we might be about to come into the more difficult point of this virus for our country. But then if you're looking at where China is at the moment, they are coming back down and they are not seeing more people dying and they're not seeing more people get infected. And so I think for me, it's that balance of looking at the small things in the day-to-day, sort of faith in humanity, the kindness, and it's looking at the bigger picture that there will be an end to this. We will come to an end point. And I think that's what I'm holding on to, I suppose.
Yes, I love that, Becca. I think that's a brilliant point. We do have hope in the end of all this. And I guess on the back of that question, I'll come to you, Tamarin. Obviously, for us, church is important. I think when this, as Becca says, when this crisis comes to an end, my sense is that there will be a greater appreciation of church community than what there's ever been before. That maybe we've had it too good for too long. It's there, but actually we need a church. This is really important. I'd like you just to maybe talk about the benefits, if you can, for our lives of being connected to a church community. Obviously they talk about the importance of social distancing. I much prefer the language of physical distancing. I don't like the language of social distancing because it conveys the wrong idea. Why do you think that it matters to be a part of a church community?
Yeah, I think probably now more than ever, I suppose it has shown how much we value that connection.
Yes.
And how much it's important. And I think probably what I found is that having been part of community, a church community where people will encourage you, people will support you, people ring up and ask how you're doing, actually makes all the difference, rather than just coming back. Certainly in these times, coming back and have not really seeing anyone. Actually, having people you can ring up and be like, explain what's going on. I think it makes all the difference. So. But also, just in the sense of, I suppose, certainly our church has the culture of verbal encouragement, of actually bigging up the things that need to be big up, not letting it go kind of unsaid. And I think, like that, it kind of not only tips a balance in things, but actually it really kind of sets your perspective. So actually, there are loads of things we've got to be thankful for. There are loads of things that are going on well, and I think it's kind of like having a family, having the support of a family who will just cheer you on and kind of see how you're doing.
Yes, it does highlight the value of being a part of a church community without question. And I tell you what, I cannot wait. I'm missing church so much. I mean, this is brilliant. This is like the next best thing, I guess. But there's nothing like the banter of just getting together and, people laughing at Pastor Roy's silly jokes and all this sort of thing, but I miss it so much. On that question, Becca, Christiana, and I don't suppose you'll have a precise answer to this, but maybe you can talk in generalities. They talk about a vaccine being produced for this and possibly the lockdown ending at some point. Do you have any sense of what kind of time frame might be involved in all of that?
I think it's difficult to be certain of anything, but I think it will come sooner than we think. There's so much research going on at the moment, so there's definitely things to hope for. England, UK have just started a clinical trial, the biggest in the world, so the treatments as well. So there's lots of scientists working very hard. So I can't give you definites though.
No, I totally get that. I totally get that. And we are dealing with unknowns, but I guess that sort of should be a feature of our prayers as well. I guess we should be praying for our medical professionals, that God will give them the genius to know how to come up with the right vaccine and so on. I think that's such an important point. Well, let's look ahead then. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. We really, really appreciate it. Let's just think ahead, finishing on a little bit of a lighter note. So when this does come to an end, have you found yourself thinking about things that you want to do that you can't currently do because obviously of travel restrictions and so on? Let's go to you first, Christiana. I mean, there's got to be like a bunch of, loads of things that you and James want to do, right?
Yeah, well, I think mostly just spending time with family and friends, having a big party, giving people a big hug, especially with Alexander. I've got family people I want him to meet, so I'm looking forward to that. Oh,
that's going to be and grandparents, I bet they're counting down the days until they can see their grandson again. I can totally understand that. Well, amazing. And what about yourself, Tamron? I mean, travels around the world, ski trips. You doctors seem to do ski trips quite a lot, don't you? It seems to be like the holiday of choice for medical professionals, isn't it?
It does. The thing is, I really like the outdoors. So having to stay in for a lot of the day is a lot. So, have you ever seen Forrest Gump? Do you know he just runs and goes, keep on going? That's going to be me. It's going to be.
What, you just got to run and run?
Stop, yeah. Yeah, until I get tired and I'll turn back.
And is there anything in particular that obviously you do lots of climbing and things like that? Is there a mountain you want to climb or a goal you want to fulfill?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I think, it'd be nice to go to the Alps, I think. Once this is all blown over. Yeah, I think so. Mont Blanc or something.
Well, hopefully you won't get blown over in the Alps, that's for sure. Let's pray for that. Becca, you're recently married to Jonah, who's one of the pastors in our church. And this was not the plan for how married life would be. We appointed your husband a pastor one week, and the next week we didn't have a church. So, I don't know what's going on there. But what about you guys? Any plans about what you want to do when all this is over?
I think that we would definitely like to see family. I think going on holiday would be great. I think we'd love to go. I mean, if I can persuade him to go skiing, then that will be very high on the list. But we'll work on it. I'll show him this video and I'll tell him it's advised.
Oh, I can't see Jonah skiing, to be honest with you, Becca. I think that you take him to a nice restaurant, he'd enjoy that. But his athletic days are over. Go for a Big Mac and fries. Why don't you try that? I'm still trying to get over that. Becca's never had a Big Mac and a Burger King. Becca, when this is finished, I'm telling you, I'm going to be taking you to all the we're going to do a fast restaurant tour of Leicester. I'm telling you,
that'll be the first port. Forget the holidays. I'll be touring KFC.
There's a reason to have hope. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you're all busy people, and I appreciate you taking a bit of time out. Our love and respect for all of our NHS workers is just so high. You are heroes. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for all you're doing. These guys represent all of you. So we really, really, really thank God for you. So until next time, have a good day. See you later.